Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's edition 2 of the BRI, which is the Black Research Institute. My name is Denoris Wilson. I'm your host for tonight, and I have a very, 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 very special guest. Me and the brother spent some time in the green room talking, not really talking about the interview, but just getting to know one another. And very interesting brother, very dynamic brother, well-spoken. My headphones just went dead, so I'm gonna get my big headphones and I'll be right back. As a matter of fact, let's go to a commercial while I'm preparing my audio. Okay, everyone, I'm back. I got my headphones on, and I'm ready to introduce tonight's guest. He is Mr. Titus Unlimited. Real name is Mr. John Titus. He is a fitness and wellness advocate. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Mr. John Titus. What's up,
brother? Hey, brother, how you doing? Great.
I'm doing good, man. Oh man, thank you for agreeing to the interview. I'm excited to let people experience what I had the pleasure of experiencing about 10 minutes ago. So, I'm very excited for that, man. But before we get into the interview, tell the people about yourself. Anything you want to say?
I'm a simple guy, man. I always like to say I'm just another guy. But my sole goal is to actually try to make an impact on the lives of people that I encounter in a positive way. And so that's my thrust. That's who I am in everything and anything that I do.
Okay. So you are a fitness and wellness advocate.
Yes.
Now we had a brief conversation, and you explained to me that you wouldn't want to consider yourself a fitness trainer, and you gave me a great definition of that. So tell the people, why wouldn't you want to consider yourself a fitness trainer?
Because I think the word fitness trainer is a very narrow, or fitness itself is a very narrow thing. Don't get me wrong. Fitness can be dynamic with all different types of exercise programs. But when people are looking for a fitness trainer, what they're actually looking to do is get well. And part of being well physically is taking care of your body, taking care of, making sure your body is properly functioning. And that 85% of a well-functioning body is predicated on what you put in it, your nutrition. Okay. I always tell people going to the gym, a 1 hour workout is 4% of your day. Last I checked, 4% is way less than 96. So I don't really love to focus so much on a 23 hour, on a 1 hour you spend in the gym, but rather the 23 hours you spend outside. What are you eating? What are you drinking? What is your stress level? Are you sleeping enough? Those are the things that actually impact your health more than the 1 hour workout, you know? And the analogy I used when I was talking to you is just like your car. What do you think is more important for a properly functioning car? How far you drive it, or whether or not it has oil, gas, and water in it?
Right. So when you are, so do you do one-on-one trainings, or do you do live, like virtual trainings, or, you know, what is your typical way that you would train someone? Like,
I do more virtual consultations.
right.
As far as, like I said, as far as the physical training part goes, as I said before, you know, there's only so many ways I can show you to do a push-up, and there's tons of people out there showing you different exercises. But what people are really looking for is people are looking to be put in the right direction as far as their overall health and wellness, you know, as far as their overall nutrition. And those things I can do virtually. And as far as the exercise part goes, as long as you're active, everybody doesn't have to go in the gym and lift 300 pounds. You can be active without doing that. But one thing's for sure and two things for certain: you cannot out-train a bad diet.
That's the truth. So when you're training these clients, or when you're consulting, let me get it right. When you're consulting these clients, what is like what is the most obstacles that you have to get people to try to overcome in becoming well? Is it diet, or
Well, the first thing is your mindset, because people always look at, we want to start, even some people who start with the diet, some people who start with the exercise. Oh, it doesn't matter what you start with, but you have to first get that person to come to a realization that their mindset is responsible for them being in the position that they are. Your mindset, what has stopped you? Okay. What are your beliefs? What do you believe has stopped you? And why do you believe you're going to succeed? Because unless you tackle that mindset to put them in the mindset that knows that they can and will succeed, and the reason why they haven't succeeded in the past, right? You're not going to get very far. They're going to keep stumbling over the same thing. So once we come to a realization that, okay, you know what? I have to unlearn and relearn. I have to realize that my beliefs about what was healthy and what wasn't healthy were wrong. I have to realize that I am the reason why I am the size I am. I have to realize that since I am the reason why that I'm the size I am, I can also be the reason why I change that. So we have to get away from blaming, diabetes runs in my family, or everybody in my family is big, or I can't control myself. All these things are things that are actual impediments to people getting healthy. So once you can hurdle that impediment, once you can set that thing on the side and say, okay, so this is not even a real reason. The reason is you. Are you willing to take the task now to move forward? Like today, I did a live today in the morning, and my live was basically, it just basically stated this, okay? As important as it is to figure out what your goals are, what is more important than figuring out what you want is you have to figure out what you're willing to give up. What are you willing to give up? Are you willing to give up that negative mindset? Are you willing to give up those foods? Are you willing to give up the idea that everybody in your family is big, so this is why you are big? You see what I'm saying? And once you get to that point where people are willing to give that up, then now they can receive. But you can't receive until you give up. It's almost like a wide receiver trying to go to catch a ball, and he got a ball in his hand already.
Right.
Yeah. So sometimes people have to unlearn to relearn.
Unlearn to relearn. That's. I need to unlearn some things myself, man. But for me, And I tell my wife this all the time. I was like, I know I need to get in shape, right? I know I need to get well. I know I need to get healthier. And I tell her this all the time. The biggest obstacle that I have is just starting. Just starting, just doing it. We did a 40-day challenge where it was a challenge for you to walk a mile a day for 40 days. And the first 7 days of that challenge was crucial. Like, I didn't want to do it. But then after that, I could not do it. Like, if I didn't walk, I felt uncomfortable because my body had started getting used to that particular exercise, and it was letting me know, like, you haven't walked today, so you need to walk. And I just got to start. I'm lazy, so but I got to start. And I think a lot of us, we know what we need to do when it comes to being healthy. Like, So how long you been doing wellness advocacy, brother?
I would say for about 15 years, but I mean, before it was just something, I guess, privately that I did between me and my friends. It's only recently that it became a full occupation. But I had been researching and educating myself on wellness and better living and better eating for the better part of the last 19 years since my mother passed away in 2002.
Okay. So what made you go from it being just something that you were doing with your friends and turning it into a business?
People just kept asking me. People kept asking me, and being on social media and being in the public eye, and people continuously ask you. So I started sharing with them what I know, what I had researched, the things I am, very well educated and very well versed in. And then also every day going out and deepening my knowledge. So, yeah, that's what it was. I would say it was just demand.
Okay. So you basically fell into your purpose, right? Like, you fell into it.
Yeah, the crazy thing is life takes you in so many different directions, man. And I make this quote that success belongs to those who can recognize opportunity before it becomes obvious. Okay.
Wow.
And a lot of us have opportunities right in front of us all the time. The difference between the person who is successful and one who is not is those who can recognize that is an opportunity wrapped up looking like work, wrapped up looking like something uncomfortable, wrapped up looking like something that I don't like doing or I'm not comfortable doing, I don't want to do. No opportunity presents itself and say, hey, do me and I'll do this for you. It looks like work, but at least this time it was something, like you said, I was very passionate about, something I had been doing, something I enjoyed doing. Did I think it was going to wind up being this? No, I did not.
Okay. Ms. Bowen has a question for you. So I'm gonna put it up. She says, do you have any tip on what we can do as flu season is coming to boost our immune system?
Yeah. Thank you for the question. As far as tips to boost your immune system, once again, I go back to the same thing I said this morning. People are always looking for what they can do. Well, one of the first things about boosting the immune system is we need to learn what we need to give up. What is hurting your immune system? Okay. Because boosting your immune system is like taking water and pouring it into a bucket, right? But you got to spring the holes first. You got to plug the holes. So what is killing our immune system? What generally kills our immune system is all the excess sugar, the processed food, the alcohol, our weight. How toxic is your body? Okay. So the first thing you need to do is cleanse and detoxify your body. Number one. Number two, change your diet. Stop putting the things in your system that are actually compromising your immune system. Then now we can look at different things that will actually boost your immune system that is already now in a good position, not being dragged down by all those other things. And then the things that'll be able to boost your immune system, you can look at things like that contain like vitamin C, echinacea, zinc, turmeric, garlic. those things actually boost your immune system. Exercise, sunlight, those are the things that you need to do. But you can be doing all those things, but if you have, bad habits like sugar, like alcohol, like processed food, like stress, not sleeping enough, those things, and a toxic body where you haven't cleansed and detoxified your system, those things will have minimal effect.
My wife is probably clapping her hands because all of those supplements that you named, she uses, and she tries to shove them down my throat as much as she can, like the echinacea, the vitamin C, the turmeric.
The beauty of it, I have one supplement on my website that actually contains turmeric, garlic, echinacea, elderberry, vitamin C, and zinc in one supplement. 2 pills a day, and that's it.
Well, after this interview, I'm telling you, my wife we're gonna go to your site and we're gonna order that because my wife, she is a supplement queen. And
it's easy to find too. It's called the emergency immune support. So there you go.
Nice. I told you before we came live when we was in the green room that, once you agreed to do this interview, I went and did my own research and I caught look, hold on, wait a minute. I'm gonna show you. This is my wife. Look what she says. I will be ordering. She's a supplement queen. But I went and did some research on you. I was on Instagram and I saw a live you done. And you was talking about COVID and you was talking about the effects. And you was like, what they don't tell you is that it affects overweight people more. Because I don't want to mess it up, but this was a live you done, and I was like, wow, that's something that the news is not saying. That if you're overweight, they'll tell you something like, I think one news report said that a particular blood type is more susceptible to catching coronavirus. They'll tell you stuff like that. You have no control over your blood type, but you have some control on your weight. So explain that.
Well, one of the things that when this coronavirus came out, one of the things I said in the beginning is that I was honest with my followers. I said, look, I don't know all the facts behind this, but let's get something straight. Back in March and April, they didn't know either. So sometimes you need data in order to verify what you know. Okay. Mm-hmm. And here's what the data says. Now, in March and April, I could not have gotten to this fact. Okay. Fact mm-hmm. is that America has 4% of the world's population. Fact is, America has 20+% of the world's cases and deaths. Okay. Now let's look at all the other countries that have high cases. What is the one common denominator with the countries that have high population, high cases, and high deaths? Okay. Now they told you, COVID affects the old. Well, let's look at the countries that have the world's oldest populations. Let's test that out. The world's second oldest population is Italy, right? Italy had a hard time with it. So you'd want to agree with that. You said that they might be on to something there, right? Then who has the world's actual oldest population? That's Japan. Well, Japan only has 1,700 deaths. So that old part doesn't really work there. Mm-hmm. So that can't be right. Okay, so what is it that's different between Japan, United States, and Italy? Well, Japan has an obesity rate of 3.6%. 3.6%. Italy has an obesity rate in the mid-20s. America has an obesity rate of 43%. Wow. So as you can see, as the percentages go up, so does your cases and deaths. Okay? Obesity is the issue. If you look on CNN every night when they're showing you the people who passed away from coronavirus, 80% of the people are visibly obese. Whether they're young or old, they are visibly obese. They visibly have some kind of health issue that is stemmed in or coming from generally obesity.
Wow.
Okay.
When I heard
So
you say
what
that
but
moment.
the reason why they can't tell you this is this, because it's a double-edged sword. If they tell you it's about obesity, then that means what are you doing? What are you eating to become obese? Well, that's the sugar, that's the
Mm-hmm.
dairy, that's the alcohol,
Mm-hmm.
that's the processed food. And there will be trillions of dollars lost by the food industry. So we can't tell you that. We're going to blame something else obscure, and we're going to give you a virus as opposed to telling you, look, if you just change what you eat and you got healthier, you wouldn't have a problem.
Right.
So that's why that's not discussed.
When I heard you say it on live, I was like, once again, my wife and I, we talk about a lot of things, and different cultures we love to discuss, and we both agree that as an American, our eating habits is borderline, not even borderline. We're greedy. We're greedy, and we're not conscious about what we put in our bodies. Or I ain't gonna say that we're not conscious. We don't care. As long as it tastes good, it doesn't really matter what's in or what ingredients is in it. So we do a lot of sugar.
But
Go
Denorius,
ahead.
that's programming. That's programming.
I totally agree. I totally
Okay.
agree. And
We're not in this position because we choose to. We're in this position because we're encouraged to, because we're programmed to, we're prodded to. We're
right.
conditioned to eat like that. We're conditioned to overeat. Yeah.
Now,
And
are you
because
vegan?
I'm not a vegan, no, but I do eat. My diet is about 80% plant-based.
Okay. Now, with that being your diet, is that for everyone? Like, does it necessarily mean that, like, for me, I know that I need to get in shape, but does that 80% plant-based diet, does that work for everyone, or is it just something that you just pick up and that's what I'm gonna do? Like for me, I can't say that I love food because I only eat when I'm hungry, but I don't eat good when I'm hungry. I don't eat healthy food when I'm hungry. I'm just grabbing something just to fill the void of that hunger. And, a lot of people like myself, I'm like, I can't go vegan or I can't go plant-based, but how do you prepare meals for that, brother, and make them tasty? Because they don't, just, the plant-based meals that I've tasted, they're bland. Like, how do you spice that up?
Well, first of all, everybody doesn't have to be vegan. Okay. That being said, our bodies thrive off of plant food. Okay. Plant food, whether it's vegetables and or fruit, especially fruit. Fruit is the easiest thing for your body to break down and digest. Okay. So, although I'm not vegan, although I eat meat and fish and things like that in limited quantities. Right. We are quote unquote omnivores, but we do need a balanced amount of nutrients. And most of the nutrients that we actually need for a properly functioning body, they're going to come from plants. We're carbon-based beings. Okay. Carbon-based beings. You cannot get minerals, vitamins, fiber, healthy carbohydrates. You can't get any of that from just strictly meat. You're not going to get any of that from processed food. And so when you say that, when you're expressing to me your feelings about plant-based food, that is the feelings of someone who has been conditioned to not like it, to be conditioned to eat meat, cheese, pizza, and all these things like that. So that not only is that what your palate is used to, but that is also what your mind is accustomed to. And you cannot envision yourself eating anything other than that. It's not that your body doesn't like it. Your body thrives off of it. okay, is that you believe that it's not tasty. When you
Right.
start telling me about how do you spice it up, right? Your body doesn't care how much salt is on your food. As a matter of fact, your body actually reacts negatively to too much salt. But it's your mind and your quote unquote taste buds. But that extra salt, that extra sauce, that extra this, that extra that doesn't make you any healthier. As a matter of fact, it might actually take away from your health. So once again,
Mm-hmm.
it goes back to the question that you asked me before. It starts with your mind. What is it that you believe? What is your programming? What is it that you have to unlearn? Because once you realize what you believe and your programming is responsible for you being in the position that you're in, you'll take a whole different view towards plant-based food. You won't be looking for your food to be over salted and over seasoned. You'll be looking for it to be more nutrient dense.
Right.
And then you'll find ways to make it taste better. And yes, plant-based food, my statement I make all the time, just because your food is healthy doesn't mean it has to be boring. You can make it taste good. Okay.
Right.
As a matter of fact, my plant-based food tastes very good. And I am somebody who ate just as much meat as you, maybe more. Okay. But it's about the mindset first and the understanding that, eating all that um,
Junk.
overly
Junk.
salted food and junk, right, is a lot to do with programming and not so much that it actually tastes good. It's just that you're not used to tasting anything different. So you got
It's
used to eating that.
it's crazy that you say that because when I was growing up, my mom used to make me. She used to boil okra, right? She
Mm-hmm.
used to boil it. I couldn't stand it, Titus. Couldn't stand the boiled okra. I would have to close my nose because she wouldn't let me leave the table until I finished that okra, right? I used to hold my nose because I found out that if you can't smell, you can't taste. So I
Right.
just hold my nose and just gobble it down. But as I got older and I started eating okra more, I developed a liking for it. Like
Mm-hmm.
I actually like it now. Like I like it any kind of way. And that goes to what you're saying. Like growing up to a certain age, I didn't eat a whole lot of okra. So when it was first introduced to me, because I wasn't used to it, it was nasty, right? Because I wasn't used to
Well,
it. Go ahead.
okra has an uncommon texture.
Yeah,
So the
yes,
first thing as
yes.
a kid, if you're used to eating food and this particular one is slimy, well, that's uncommon. And so
Right,
it's not even a 50-50 chance. More than likely, that kid is not going to like that because it's different.
right.
So it wasn't so much even about the taste. It was the fact that once again you have believed and convinced yourself that this is slimy. you
Right,
know
right.
but
And,
even
and, and
from that angle, there's many different ways to cook okra that can get rid of the slime.
exactly. And I like it any kind of way now. So you're absolutely right. Like we've been conditioned to have a certain palate or a certain desire for certain foods. Like I tell people all the time, like my wife will try any type of food. She would any type of cuisine, she's gonna try it. And um I I'm I'm not like that. Like I stick to the tried and true what I like, right? But being married to her, I've tried some things that I never would have tried had I not met her. And I'm telling you, Titus, it's hard for me to just switch up on something like. And I understand what you're saying about being programmed because I can't tell you why I like fried chicken. Like it tastes good, but why does it taste good? But because
I can
that's
tell you why you like it.
why I like it.
You like it because you grew up around it. Everyone you know,
Right.
love, and respect ate it. You have never
Right.
heard anyone that you know, love, and respect say that they don't like it. And so
Mm-hmm.
it then makes it easy for you to like. Why? Because now your entire social network has now convinced you that you should like it. So, as a matter of fact, if you didn't like fried chicken, you would feel weird. And
Right.
socially, we never want to feel weird. And so if you
Right.
don't want to feel weird, then guess what? Well, yeah, I like fried chicken. I mean, what person doesn't? You
Right.
see what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
Think about if somebody said that they didn't like fried chicken. You would like, why not?
Right.
Whereas if somebody says, I don't like okra, you would never ask them, well, why not? Because you can
Mm.
find a lot of people who will
That
say,
don't-
I don't like okra.
Right. Right.
Yeah, it's conditioning. Our social, our environment. And so when we start to look across our environment, then you have to understand and start to rationalize how much of our beliefs, how much of our state, our situation is strictly based off of programming, programming from our environment, the things that other people have deemed acceptable, unacceptable, that they like, they don't like, that really you don't have any proof, any true experience to whether you can act, to where you're making an actual educated decision. You usually have formed your opinion about those things based on the experiences of other people. And they may
Right.
have not made their decisions based off experience either. Okay.
Mm.
So that's why, and as this is a different topic, but when it comes down to being a truly enlightened person, you have to be able to question your beliefs, question your doubts, question the things that you think you know, think the things you think you believe, question the
Mm.
things that you think you even like. Do you really like it? Or have you been told to like it for so long that you feel weird if you don't?
Mm. That's deep. But you're right in that a lot of things that we do, a lot of things that we say, the way that we act, they're learned behaviors. They're not something that we developed on our own. They're just learned behaviors, and those behaviors, because they are now behaviors. And a behavior is something that's entrenched in who you believe you are. Like, it's something that you do. It's because their behaviors are hard to change. How would you, let's say, my eating habits? What would be your words to me to change the way I eat?
Well, my simple words to you to change the way you eat would first of all would ask you, why do you eat that way?
Mm.
Why?
I don't know.
Especially knowing that these things are not necessarily healthy. Why would you do that?
Right,
But it
right.
goes back to a bigger and deeper question, right? Do you truly like yourself?
Mm.
Because one who truly loves themselves and respects themselves would not do anything to harm themselves.
Mm.
So if I give you information then on things that are for your betterment, to make you thrive, to make you better, and yet you find yourself doing things contrary to that, are those the actions of somebody who truly loves themselves? So then it has to go a little bit deeper. Why do you feel that way about yourself? And then we start to get into people saying, well, you're going to die anyway.
Right,
Something's
right,
going to kill you. And then my
right.
response to that, well, that something doesn't have to be you, though.
You got to kill yourself. That's right.
Exactly. You know,
Yeah,
but
that,
a lot of times when you go into that, people have resigned to the fact subconsciously, like a lot of people have resigned to the fact subconsciously that they're supposed to be big because they have bought into this idea that everybody in their family is big. They
mm-hmm.
resign to the fact that they may sooner rather than later get diabetes. Why? Because everybody in the family has had diabetes or heart problems or something like that. Everybody in my family has knee problems. They're not looking at the fact that most people in their family are over 50 to 7,500 pounds overweight. The knee problems are not inherited, is the habits that produce the weight that then causes the knee problems. That's what you inherited. You inherited the habits. You didn't inherit the
Mm.
disease. The
Right.
disease is a byproduct of the habits you inherited. You get rid of the habit, you get rid of the disease.
Nice. Nice. So when you talk about overweight, like I I get very perturbed when I go and I see, a man my age and my height, what America says is the proper weight, And according to America's standard physical, I am like obese. I don't feel obese. You know what I mean? Like I don't feel it. Maybe because my definition of obese is an extra large person, you know. But when it comes to being your proper weight or your BMI, how do you how can I say it? How do you say to someone, I'm okay, let's say I'm 240 pounds. America says someone my age, 6'1", should be 190 pounds. How do you rationalize that? That's like what, 60 pounds overweight? Like how do you tell people who don't look like, I don't look at myself as being overweight, but how do you tell people you are overweight, but they feel comfortable in their weight? Like with you, you work out and you, yeah, go ahead.
Well, let me explain that to you. Well, first of all, the BMI charts are not necessarily all accurate, okay? Because the BMI charts a lot of times do not consider things like heritage and muscle mass.
Okay.
That being said, right, there is still an acceptable range from that BMI chart, because the BMI chart is a good marker, right?
Okay.
That will be able to, within reason, left or right, dictate healthy weight. Okay. So, for instance, somebody who is 6'1" as a man, right? 240 pounds would generally be overweight. Okay. Even if that 240 pounds was all muscle. And the reason why that is overweight is because generally a person that's 6'1" has a certain frame. We always talk about cars, just like a car, right? A Ferrari has a certain axle, chassis, right? And yes, although you can put about 8 cinder blocks in the trunk and it may carry it for a while, but you have more than likely overweighed that vehicle. And sooner rather than later, that vehicle is going to have problems with its shocks, its struts, its axle. And it's much the same with a person who takes an extra 50 pounds and puts it on their frame. Would you have a problem if you put 1 or 2 cinder blocks in the back? Probably not. Okay. So when we're looking at weight wise, you know, and let's say we're talking about heritage, and since sometimes African Americans or people of African descent tend to have a little bit more muscle mass, right? But when we say a little bit more muscle mass, we're not talking about 50 pounds. We're talking about 15 pounds.
Okay.
Okay. So even, you know, like people say, I'm big bone. That is factually and scientifically false, because bone density, regardless of race, right? Somebody who's 5'6", whether you're of Chinese or Asian heritage, which some of them tend to have smaller bone structure, or even the biggest tribes in Africa, which tend to have bigger, a little bit more dense structure. Same weight, same height, the maximum variance in skeletal weight can be 10 to 12 pounds. That's it. Okay. When you add in musculature on top of that, maybe another 5 or 10 pounds. But that's it. But it does not justify one being 60 pounds over and saying, oh, I'm big bone, or because I'm black. No, you're now fooling yourself.
Okay.
Right.
Hey, Titus, man, I didn't invite you on to my live, man, to be getting on me. Like, I didn't do that. Like, we supposed to be informing the people. Don't be talking about my 60 pounds overweight, brother. Nah, I'm just kidding. But, you know, I mean, it's a struggle. It's a struggle for me. It's a struggle for a lot of people understanding, you know, being well. Because a lot of us, wellness is not in the forefront of our consciousness, right? Like, it's being comfortable is, though, you know, being comfortable and being at ease is at the forefront of our consciousness. Like, so for me, it would take me an awful lot of being present and being in the moment and watching what I'm eating, watching what I'm not doing. Meaning, I am not exercising, or I'm not a salt person or a sugar person. I don't eat as healthy. So when you get you and they want to get in shape, right? What are some of the first things? I know you said you asked them about their mindset. After then, what is like the next thing that you try to employ them to do?
Well, after we get the mindset part straight, the next thing you have to do is, all right, so you've been eating toxic, processed, chemicalized food for years, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what's the first thing we have to do? We have to get rid of all the toxic, processed, and chemicalized substances and traces of those substances that are in your body. Much like when you take your car in and your car is sputtering, right? When the
Mm-hmm.
first thing they do is they flush your engine, they change your oil, they check your filters.
Right.
And that's what a cleanse and detox is all about. A cleanse and detox is trying to bring you back to a state where we can figure out, you know, what else is going on. But if you have dirty oil, blocked filters, clogged tubes, right? It doesn't matter whether or not we fix this localized problem here, right? You still have that going on. So you're not going to have a properly functioning car. The same way, if you don't cleanse and detoxify your body to start your healthy routine, right? No amount of putting in clean food, you're not going to get the benefit of that.
Right.
It's just like when you pour bad gas in your car, right? You got to take it in for them to flush it first. You can't just go and just start putting good gas and think it's going to go away. No, it's not going to work like that. So we have to cleanse and detoxify your system.
Okay.
There you go.
So
Because over the years, you build up, old food in your colon. You build up process a whole bunch of chemicals. Those things get lodged in your muscle fibers. Those things make you retain water. Those things cause allergies. Those things cause migraines. So heavy metals and all those things are actually what are actually polluting people's bodies, that are causing things like, autoimmune disease, allergies, stubborn weight loss, menopause issues. Those are the things that are causing that. And I've had so many people. I had a young lady the other day who literally as early as June was on 9 medications. 9.
Wow.
Okay. And all she did was she did a cleanse, changed her diet, right? And so far has done minimal exercise. And by minimal exercise, I mean she just walks, right? And since then, she went from 9 medications to 1.
I'm on your site, so I'm strolling your site so that people can see your supplements, and it is TitusUnlimited.com, and he has so what you was talking about, the detox, that's your detox stack?
The detox stack, right?
Okay, your detox stack and your vegan protein, organic beets and maca. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Right.
what is this? Is that
Complete
bladder
minerals?
whack? Yeah.
Yes.
The bladder
Yes.
whack.
So the complete minerals is three herbs. Is sea moss. Everybody's heard sea moss. Great conversations about sea moss. Sea moss, bladderwrack, and burdock root. The combination of those 3 minerals will give you all 102 minerals that your body needs for proper function. And remember, as I mentioned earlier, we're carbon-based beings. So you know how we hear the whole time growing up, take your vitamins, right? But the truth is that if you don't have the proper mineral levels in your body can't even absorb the vitamins. Yes. And here's another fact. 85% of Americans are mineral deficient. Here's another fact, right? Every single disease can be traced back to a mineral deficiency. And that is a direct quote from a Nobel Peace winning doctor who specializes in nutrition. Every single disease can be traced back to a mineral deficiency. Now let's look at the foods we eat, right? Remember you were asking about immunity, right?
Mm-hmm.
What does sugar do? Sugar actually causes your body to secrete minerals, specifically magnesium and zinc, which are singularly responsible for building and boosting your immune system. Okay, let's go back
Mm-hmm.
to alcohol, right? Alcohol does the same thing. Let's look at caffeine. Caffeine causes your body that causes you not to be able to upload minerals. Okay,
Right.
so when we start to look at the diets that we have and look at the deficiencies that we have, right, we see a direct correlation between the habits that we have and the deficiencies, and then the health issues. So,
Nice. Nice. So have you heard of Dr. Seeley?
yes.
I read a lot on him, and you know, being that I am not, I guess, what, a botanist or a scientist or whatever, when you hear somebody say, I can cure AIDS or I can cure cancer, man, you say, man, this man crazy. Like, he's crazy.
Right.
But some of the things that you're saying right now is some of the
Right.
things that I've heard him say about mineral deficiency, about mucus in your body, and
Mhm.
and my wife will tell you all types of illness, and she is a health advocate. All type of illness is not only a mineral deficiency, but it's the byproduct of that is you having mucus in your body, like. So does your iris sea moss and your bladder does that help with like inflammation basically and the mucus around? Because my wife is always about treating the body at a cellular level. Like she
Well,
loves.
yes. So sea moss is extremely good for clearing mucus out of the body.
Okay.
Okay, but
Okay.
also once again we talk about supplements all the time. But remember, I said diet. If you're eating a balanced diet, right, that means
Mhm.
you're eating enough alkaline foods and foods that contain fiber that will then not only will they not cause mucus, but they will help to cleanse your body of whatever mucus is in it.
Okay.
Okay. And then the sea moss, the bladderwrack, and the burdock root come on as enhancements to help to clean and to help to nourish.
Okay.
Okay. So, which means you can't eat a whole bunch of mucus causing food and take sea moss and think you're good. Once
Right.
again,
Right.
you got to eat properly, right? Eat a balanced diet. And yes, if you eat a little meat here and there, you eat a little sugar here and there, right? It may cause some mucus, but then with the fiber that you're eating and then the sea moss, now you're good. Okay.
Okay.
But once again, you can't out train or out supplement a bad diet. It
Right.
just doesn't work like that.
Right.
Right.
Now, a lot of us, we hear that word alkaline. We hear it, and I just think about a battery. I just think about a battery. Explain to people what alkaline and what that actually means.
Okay, well, you're not necessarily wrong when you say when you think about a battery because alkaline and anything alkaline is going to charge you up. It's going to give you energy. It's going to give you life. Okay,
Okay.
so when you look at the things that you eat, right, are they things that are going to give you life? All right. So things in your body fall across a scale, a pH scale from alkaline to acid to acid producing. So the more
Okay.
alkaline things you can eat, right, the better off you'll be. Because here's another thing about alkalinity: disease cannot thrive in an alkaline state. So if you're eating a bunch of alkaline foods, right, that means your immune system is going to be in a better place. When your immune
Okay.
system is in a better place and you're eating alkaline food, disease needs acidic environments in order to thrive. You have a properly functioning immune system. What a lot of people don't realize is that your body actually produces millions of cancer cells a day. However, a properly functioning immune system that isn't being weighed down by toxins and by acidity quickly just takes care of it's a process. It just kills it away. But now when you are eating acid forming foods, when you're eating foods with growth hormone in it, like dairy, when you're then now taking things and having substances in your body that drain your immune system, now those cancer cells and those things, those pathogens that you take in on a daily basis, they're now allowed to thrive a little bit more. Why? Because your body is working harder just to survive, because it's not in a state of harmony, which is alkalinity.
Okay.
That makes sense?
Right. Makes a lot
There
of
you
sense.
go.
So alkaline will give me energy.
It will give you energy. It'll give you vitality. Yes. If you look at things like eating, when you eat food, when you eat things, think about the things you eat that make you feel heavy. Cheese, meat, all those things drag you down. You know, it's comfort food to make you feel good. No, it doesn't really make you feel good. It makes you feel lethargic. Whereas when you eat fruits and vegetables, you don't feel lethargic. Because why? They give you life, they give you energy. So that's not to say you can't eat meat, but the abundance of meat that you're eating is your issue.
You know, we have this thing that after you eat, we say the itis done crept in, right? the itis crept in. And just listening to you say that, I've when I was younger, we would play outside and I would eat peaches and grapes all day because
didn't get the itis, did you?
Didn't get the itis at all. I would eat peaches and grapes and fruit all day long, but I never got tired. But you get to the house and you eat a hamburger or some meatloaf, and you ready to take it down.
It draws you down.
Man.
Right.
Okay. So now let's say I'm trying to eat healthy, and I'm being vigilant at it. How can I tell what an alkaline or a or an alkaline and an acidic food is? Like how can I tell the difference?
Well, very, very simple. Most, if not all, fruits and vegetables are going to be alkaline. Okay. And so when you have a plant-based diet, and mind you, we're not talking about a vegan diet, because just because you're vegan doesn't mean it's plant-based. All right. When you have a plant-based diet, which is going to be unprocessed, single ingredient, whole food, plant-based diet, right? And 80% of your diet falls into that category, right? Then you will generally be alkaline. Okay. Even if you eat some meat, even if you eat some fish, right?
Right.
Because the amount of alkalinity will outweigh the amount of acidity.
Okay.
Right.
Got you.
The problem with most Americans is that most Americans eat the exact opposite. Most Americans eat anywhere from 80 to 85% processed food and animal products. They actually did a study that found out that 90% of Americans don't eat one piece of actual fresh fruit or vegetables in a given day.
I'm guilty. I'm guilty.
Yeah.
I am guilty. Man, you are embarrassing me and teaching me at the same time. So, you know,
I mean, when we look at the eating habits, like I said, there's a direct correlation between our eating habits, our weight, and then our health problems. And then also after that, our pharmaceutical consumption. When you look at America, right, even though once again we are 4% of the world's population, we consume upwards of 20-something% of the world's prescription drugs. Okay, so we are literally one of the fattest, sickest, and over-medicated societies on the face of the planet.
Wow.
And these are not my opinions. These are facts. I always tell people, don't listen to me, just Google it.
Right.
And then when you look at another developed nation, conversely, like Japan, right, who has the highest, they live the longest, they're healthier. We look at their eating habits, right? We look at their lack of health issues, right? And their obesity rate and their lack of health issues. It's very simple and clear. I mean, once again, always tell people COVID-19 has actually shown us what the actual truth and the problem is. COVID-19 pulled the veil away from all the BS that we talk. Like we have the best healthcare system in the world. COVID says we don't.
Right.
We're the healthiest in the world. COVID says we aren't.
Right. That's
because
so
that's
true.
something that everyone encountered equally, and how you handle it is the answer.
Right.
And it doesn't even matter whether or not you have a good healthcare system or not. Look at Africa. We talk all that stuff. People talk all that stuff about Africa, right? Africa doesn't have excellent healthcare. But what Africa does have is all natural foods. Why? Because they don't have, in a lot of places, they don't have processed food. They don't need it. They grow their own food.
Mm-hmm.
They walk. They drink fresh water. They don't drink a bunch of sodas because a lot of people can't have it, and it's not even something that's in their culture. So when we look at a virus that they thought was going to ravage the continent of Africa,
right,
life is normal in Africa.
Right, did nothing.
Yeah, you have a country of 2.5 million people in Liberia that has 83 deaths.
Wow,
83.
Now it's good that you mentioned that, because now we can segue into the conversation that we were having earlier. So, brother, where are you from?
I'm originally from Liberia.
Okay. Now, as we said before, it amazes me that a lot of Black Americans do not understand how Libya came into being. Could you tell?
You mean Liberia?
I'm sorry, I said Libya. Liberia. How Liberia came into being. Explain to the people how it actually became a nation.
Well, which that leads to an even bigger problem. But Liberia was formed by the United States. Is actually the only country on the face of the planet that the United States actually colonized, right? And Liberia was set up strictly and specifically by and for freed U.S. slaves. Liberia was set up 10 years after the Emancipation Proclamation, and I think some 15,000 to 20-something thousand freed slaves were repatriated to Liberia and given their own land. And Liberia has been a free and independent nation for 173 years.
Wow.
But that's not talked about.
Right.
And so now the bigger question you need to ask yourself is why? Why is it that the average American first of all, not just the average African American, but why is this not something that the United States is proud of? That they had a direct hand in the forming and the establishing of the first freed nation on the continent of Africa, a nation set up by freed slaves, given a land of freedom and promise. Why?
Hence the name, right?
Liberia.
That
the first 4 presidents of Liberia were U.S. born freed slaves.
Wow. That's, and I'm a history buff, so I also know that after the Emancipation Proclamation, Abraham Lincoln called Frederick Douglass and a couple of other quote unquote influential Black men to the White House and offered them Liberia, and some said yes, and some said no. We're going to stay right here because we helped build this country. And I don't know what I would have done during that time. I think I would have left. Like, I think I would have, just given the history at that particular time, I would have figured that, it's been hell here. It can't be no worse. You know what I mean? But
well, I understand that. But, one of the things that you have to ask yourself is this: whether you would have left or not, just the luxury of knowing that there is a actual land set up for you, run by people like you, that you could go to at your choosing if you no longer desired to be here, a place that would welcome you, a place that is rich with your character, not your character, but your culture and people like you who have been through your situation and your circumstance. I think that would have been something, you know how people always talk about the promised land. The promised land is a fictitious place. Imagine
Right.
if the promised land was actually a real and tangible place that you could get up and go to. I think that would have changed the outlook and the mindset of a lot of people. It give people pride. But when you give people nothing to be proud of and nothing to look forward to except for a fictitious promised land, you kind of rob them of hope.
Right. Right. Now, you made an interesting point when we was in the green room. How do you pose that question to people? Because I want people to understand, like, how do you pose that question? Because it's great the way you do it.
Well, I asked the average person, wouldn't it have been nice had, after the Emancipation Proclamation, had the United States set up a country for freed slaves so that they could have their own land and liberty and have dominion over themselves, and giving them land and the ability to do that? Wouldn't that have been nice? And most of them would say yes. And I said, what if I told you that that land of liberty actually exists and has been in existence for 173 years? But here's the biggest question. Why don't you know about that? Why weren't you told? Why aren't you told? Why do your so-called leaders and influencers and your activists, how come that isn't told? How come that isn't common knowledge? How come when we look in the Museum of African American History that is not prominently portrayed? Because I would think that would be an important part of African American history.
Right. Right.
As a matter of fact, it's a continuation of African American history.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing that the first four presidents of the first free nation on the continent of Africa were U.S. born freed slaves, that there was an actual colony set up for U.S. born free slaves by the United States. Why is America not proud of that? Why don't they celebrate that?
Right.
You have to ask yourself these questions.
Right.
You have to ask yourself why that is omitted.
I mean,
and
brother,
that will lead you down a road of questions that a lot of people may be uncomfortable with.
Oh, no. Most people, yeah, a lot. When you say a lot, that's an understatement. That's
We'll go with a lot.
Right. Yeah. But it's been like an honor to have you on this show, brother. I've learned a lot. I've shrunk a lot in my ego, but you know what? I am nevertheless encouraged by you. I'm nevertheless informed by you. I love the information that you had to share with my viewers, and I am going to put up your social media after the interview and let people know how they can get in touch with you. But brother Titus, thank you, brother, and it's been my honor to have you on this show, and I would like to invite you back. Once I get it up and running and it's running like that, detoxed, well-oiled body, because I want to show you the progress. I want you to see the progress. I want you to know that I heard what you said. I didn't just hear what you said. I implemented what you said. And it's an honor. Thank you, Ali, for getting this brother to come on this show. And if anybody wants to get in touch with him on social media, Titus, don't go. But if anyone wants to get in touch with him, here's his social media handles. And brother, once again, thank you, man. And stick around after I close out, and because I want to talk to you about something. But once again, thank you, everyone, Mr. Am I saying it right? Because I know you're from Liberia. Is it Jean or Jean?
It is Jean. Yes, it's a French name. Is Jean.
Jean.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Jean.
Jean. There you go.
Now, right, because I'm down south, brother. And, the J. You lucky I didn't say Gene.
I mean, people call me that too. It is what it is.
Oh, do they? Do they?
Yeah, very
Okay.
frequently.
Okay. Well, hold tight, brother. Let me do this outro, and I'll be right back to you. Okay.
Well, thank you for having me, Denoris.
All right. Thank you, brother. Okay, everyone, that was Mr. Jean Titus, and I really enjoyed interviewing this brother, and I hope that you did as well. Very good information. Again, very good information, and I'm glad that he took the opportunity to interview with us. Once again, I'm going to give you his social media, so if you want to get in touch with him, maybe for some consultation and on your wellness, here's his social media. And with that, everyone, I'm going to say good night. But as I always do, wait. I got to bring the brother back into the stream. I got to bring you back into the stream, brother. I forgot two important things that I didn't get to ask you that I asked all my guests. So the first thing is, what are you doing to push the culture forward?
What I do to push the culture forward is I bring people truth and knowledge. I think through truth and knowledge, we can actually push each other forward. So unvarnished truth and knowledge,
Okay. You almost escaped this last question. And I just remember the next question is I ask all my guests this. I need for you to name 3 famous Black people, but they can't be athletes or entertainers.
3 famous Black people.
Yes.
No athletes or entertainers. I would say Malcolm X. Would that count?
Yes, most definitely.
I would say, well, I don't want to go down in the same path, but Malcolm X. I would say, who else? Famous Black people, Martin Luther King. And let's see. Let me think about that. You said famous Black people, right? Okay. Well, King Mansa Musa.
That's my man, the richest man ever.
Still to this date.
To this day, the richest man ever. Made the Hajj from Africa to Saudi Arabia, and on the way gave out gold. Like, man, and not too many people would know Mansa. Not too many people would know Mansa Musa.
I wouldn't say I would be classified as too many people.
Okay, let me do this outro and I come back right to you, brother.
All right, man.
Mansa Musa. Look him up. You'll be amazed. But once again, everyone, have a good night. And remember, in order for you to receive a blessing, you must first be a blessing.